Hey guys, so last night on my stream, we talked a little bit about the supports in the game and why we think that there is, a support shortage. And let's be honest, there's never going to be a fix for the support shortage, but there's always ways to make it better, right? And there's a one thing that I don't think anybody ever talks about, and it's not that supports are OP. It's not that supports are not fun to play. I think that supports are fun to play for the people who like playing the supports that we have in the game. But the main problem is that all the supports play exactly the same. They're basically just like reskins of one another that have slight changes and tweaks to their gameplay style, but overall are basically the same class. And I think that's the main problem. And I kind of explore a little bit deeper into this topic in the clips to follow from my stream. So I always have these kind of discussions on my screen. So if you're interested in participating in them, please, I stream every single night starting at 10 p.m. PST on twitch.tv/misoxiru. So hopefully I'll see you guys on my stream. But if not, hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. All right, guys, enjoy this video. All the supports do the same thing. They do heals, shields, attack buff, brand. The game plan is exactly the same. There's not like I compare it to this, right? Let's say in Overwatch, you have supports, and I talk about this. I've talked about this before. But in Overwatch, right, not every support is like Mercy. She is the only support that I would say is very heal-focused. There are other supports like Zenyatta, who is like more offensive-focused, more debuff-focused. Heal's not as good, but, their main job is like doing debuffs, and also they kind of do quite a bit of damage as well. And you have Ana, who has her, her supercharged shit. Like all the supports have kind of like a different game plan and different role that they're playing. But every single support in this game has the same exact game plan. They have 2 attack buffs that they rotate. They have a brand that they keep uptime 100% on. They have shields that they shield with. They have a DR like God's Sent Law, what is it? Rhapsody, Starry Night. They have a cleanse in the case of Artist and Pally, and like a debuff preventer in Bard, right? Something that interacts with debuffs, basically. And then their goal is to get as much meter, 3-bar, 2-bar attack buff for Artist. Pally is put up aura. It's the same exact blueprint, same exact game plan. If you don't like that game plan, you don't have another support to play. And that's, I think, the big problem with the support. Paladin's more sustain stuff than Bard being more burst. Yes, but again, it's the game plan, right? Your game plan is the same exact game plan as Bard. Like, you don't play like, the individual moves and the individual kind of, like, nuances are, like, slightly different, but your game plan is exactly the same. Keep your attack buff, your attack buff up consistently by cycling your 2 attack buffs. Keep your brand up, shield and, DR the party, and then do this all in a goal of getting your meter up as quickly as possible. It's the same exact game plan, same exact step 1, step 2, step 3. There's no difference. The game suffers from a lack of supports. Who's going to push the support at 1640? Can't blame them. Supports in Lost Ark are buff boss. Extremely boring. They needed supports that deal DPS as well as so make more players. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that's kind of the thing, right? I think there needs to be more of a different type of gameplay for supports. Like, there needs to be a different type of style of gameplay for supports that's not just, again, the same gameplay, same blueprint, same plan over and over again. Because they're copying Dungeon Fighter, DPS synergy buffer classes. All right, budget director, go fix the game first and stop yapping. If I could, I would. Depending on the support, you can get move speed, attack speed buffs. Again, it's all slight differences, right? It's all slight nuances, but the general game plan is still the same. I only played Paladin, but I remember hearing that because of their gauge, bards can even take spec for higher coordination. The game plan do be the same. Yeah, again, you could change the build and okay, bard now is like a more you do your attack buff more often, and it's it's stronger, right? And you give worse shields. But again, the game plan is exactly the same. Whereas in a game like Overwatch, the gameplay for Mercy is completely different than the gameplay for Zenyatta, which is completely different for the gameplay of Ana. And the places that you want to stand on the battlefield are completely different as well. And the newer supports, I don't know because like I don't play them. I haven't played Overwatch since then, since Ana. But like you know what I mean, right? They're very distinct gameplay styles that all do a different thing. They all accomplish a kind of like they all work towards the same goal of being a support, but do that very differently and have a different gameplay style and plan. I don't know. I like supports in the game, to be honest, but I not be a majority. I mean, and that's the thing, right? If you like the supports in this game, you will enjoy playing all three supports because they're all basically the same. So, but the thing is, if you don't like that, you basically don't like any of the supports. And that's one of the main problems. There's no diversity in the supports in the game. So that, like, yes, I think that the support shortage and the support problems are going to exist regardless. Like, support shortage is a thing in every single game, right? If there's a support, if there's a DPS class, like, or even maybe even tank, supports and tanks are usually going to be the least played classes. Everybody wants to play a DPS. It's true in every game. But the thing is, you can make it a little bit better by giving people at least, because like for example, right, I like playing support. I used to be a support main when I first got into this game. I was a support game main in any other MMOs as well. But the thing is, I don't really like the way supports play in this game. So because of that, I don't like any of the supports. There's definitely gonna be a hybrid where you could make it do like 15% of the team damage. Yeah, something just different, right? Both's not true. My hot take is that they should just remove supports and make Paliar's Bard be like GL synergy based DPS. Basically, I mean, I think it would be interesting, but at the same time, it wouldn't necessarily like they would require too much change in the game, and I can explain that a little bit more. But yeah, that's a hard part of this from a dev standpoint is that they know often if you make two very different classes with a role, one will end up being better, and people, especially in the game Lost Ark, will just kick the other on sight. I mean, that is definitely true, right? And that's kind of like the whole idea of balance in the game. Like that's the reason why there's no perfect balance in any game, because the only way to achieve perfect balance is if you just homogenize everything and make everything basically exactly the same. And that's kind of why nobody ever says like, you know, there's any support that's like definitely 100% worse than another support, right? Because they're just all basically the same thing. Like there's certain situations where one support's gonna be better than another, but in general, there's not a worse support in the game at the moment because of this reason that they're basically completely homogenized. There's a perfect balance before the Fire Nation attack. Yeah, Final Fantasy 14 has a huge homogenization issue because they were really afraid of that culture. Bard is the worst support? So I wouldn't say Bard is the worst support necessarily because Bard is better in re-clear situations, in my opinion. Also, there's like slight nuances where Bard is like, you know, for example, in Theamine, right? The buff blocking ability that Bard has is pretty good for certain gates, like the debuff blocking, and it's better than the cleanse because it completely prevents stuns. And that's one of the big things in Theamine, I think. There are like some stuns where it's like if you have the Bard Guardian tune on you, it's better in that case. And again, Bards are good in certain cases, but I would agree that overall the better supports right now are Paladin and Artist, and Bard is definitely overall not as great a support. But again, they're all three pretty much just as good as one another. It's just like in certain situations, certain like scenarios, one might be better than another.